Oh, hello,
Oh, hello.
and welcome to the Comic Queens podcast. I'm Alex,
And I'm Annie.
and today we're going to be talking about our favorite genres.
This is a hard one. This may or may not have taken a lot of thinking through.
This is the most prep that we've done so far.
Yeah, I think it's the most prep we might have to do for a little while.
Yeah.
Mostly because it was a lot of dwindling down our favorites. And we're purists. We like to stick to our favorite genres. So, all of the comics we had to take in was basically everything that we read that fit into the categories that we think are the best.
And I'm so guilty of saying this is my favorite for every single thing that I read or music. I do that with music. Anything I listen to is my favorite.
Yeah.
All the movies I watch are my favorite. So it's very hard for me to pick an actual favorite. And you forced me to dwindle it down. And probably for good reason. Otherwise, we'd be here for 10 hours.
I know. My Duke piece was showing. I'm sorry.
So, Annie.
Yes.
Let's get into it.
All right.
We're going to start with our top 3 genres, going from 3 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your favorite genre in third place?
So it was a hard pick, and I had to think about what I gravitate towards most. My number 3 spot I had to give to comedy. I love reading something that just makes me smile and brings me joy. And even though the episodes are short when you're reading these webcomics, it really is just nice to take that 5 minutes out of your day to get a dose of the serotonin. So in thinking about what I gravitate towards, when I really just want to laugh, I had to narrow it down to my favorite in Webtoons and my favorite in Manta. And I think that this will just be the approach that we're taking moving forward. But so to start it out, when I think comedy, my top story would probably have to be Toaster Dude from Webtoon. Webtoon has a lot of wonderful comedies, but this one just always brings a smile to my face, mostly because it's ridiculous. But anyways, I think that we'll start out by reading off the description for you. So Toaster Dude is the story of a man who has one simple dream, and it's to own a toaster. He's finally done it. He finally gets his toaster after so much waiting and longing, and nothing can possibly go wrong, right?
Of course.
Of course. Never. But so it's basically a main character named Dude who has the simplest dream ever, and how life just goes awry at every turn to the point that this man's never allowed to use his toaster, or his toaster breaks, and just everything kind of culminates into him needing to get involved in all these ridiculous situations. There's a criminal organization, the government is against him, etc. And all this man wants to do is make some freaking toast in his toaster. It is hysterical. You read it every there's a Daily Pass episode release, so you get to read it every day, obviously until you run out of episodes. But it is so great at just bringing a smile to my face. My brother recommended it to me, and I am forever grateful because it really does just make me so happy.
Is it a completed series since it's a daily release?
It is, and there are quite a few episodes. I think there's about 70 episodes in total. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's a quick read if you're somebody like me who binges series. Mm-hmm. It's you can read it in 2 days, except for the fact that it's a daily release. So you kind of get that little dose of happiness every day.
It's prolonging it for
you. It prolongs it for me. So I think it's great. I'm not completed with it yet, but it is very wonderful. And then next, when it comes to picking my favorite from Manta, it was a hard decision until I realized that this one still existed. It is an end of season right now. But I had to say that my favorite comedy from Manta was Fantastical After School Writing Club. It is so funny. I actually laugh out loud to the point that I'm pretty sure my family thinks there's something wrong with me every time I'm reading it because I'm cracking up just staring at my phone. But the summary of it is that there are arch enemies made into fictional lovers. Taeyeon is horrified when she finds herself co-teaching in an after-school writing class with her college nemesis, Yongjin. Little does she realize that the worst is yet to come. They're in for a wild ride when they get sucked into a novel written by 8-year-olds. And this is where absurdity becomes reality. It is absolutely hysterical. I literally opened up like the first episode just so I could like refresh myself on like names for characters, plotline, etc. And I was laughing opening it up because it's so funny and so ridiculous. But the characters are phenomenal. The fact that it's written by 8-year-olds really just speaks true to me because as a mom, you know that like 8-year-olds just kind of have their own sense of humor and like perspective on the world. And it is literally like it's a book written by 8-year-olds. It is so funny. These poor characters just trying to get out of this novel, figure out why their lives are being impacted in this way. And overall, it is like probably my top comedy webtoon.
Now, that one is really funny. I also read that one, and you recommended it to me, and I also sit on the couch and just laugh out loud while my husband stares at me like, what are you doing? So,
you're welcome.
That being said, I know it's been a little while since that one is on a break right now, but do you have a favorite funny moment that you remember?
Oh my gosh. I definitely do have a favorite moment. There is a part in the webcomic where it's not going to make much sense with no context, but basically they've become animals. Like they've become like half human, half animal hybrids. And they've like tied in one of the students' uncles into this story as like a love triangle. It is so funny to me that these characters like are struggling so hard to get out, but also the fact that Taeyeon basically is obsessed with this uncle character who comes in, and the uncle character is now pursuing her arch nemesis, which just completely defeats her because she wants out of the story already, kind of come to terms with the fact that the story is going her way by bringing in this hot new character. And then it's going the wrong way because it becomes a boy love. It is just so funny to me, like how ridiculous it becomes. And I highly recommend to everybody that you read it if you have not. So I will say it was very hard to pick some of these, but I do have some honorable mentions when it comes to the comedy category for me. Mm-hmm. So I would highly recommend that if you're wanting to get into comedy and read those webcomics, you can definitely read my top 2. But some others you can dip your toes into are Superheroes from Class F from Manta, Mokrin from Manta, and Shall We Bathe Your Grace on Manta.
So funny.
These obviously like have a scope of multiple different genres, but at their core, when I pick these up to read, I know it's going to put a smile on my face. I know I'll get to chuckle out loud to myself like a crazy person. And really, what else do you want out of a comedy? So, highly recommend. But now, Alex, what is your number 3 spot for genres?
So my number 3 spot is romance. A good category. I think that it's one that there's a lot of romance in a lot of what we read, but I'm going with, again, like you, specific ones that I read because I love the romance aspect of it. Mm-hmm. So starting off with one that I just recently read and caught up on Webtoon is called The Prince of Southland. Ooh. It's so good. The art is beautiful. And I'll start with the description. So, Donnie Ali's shiny reputation is soiled the night he kisses an android, for romantic relationships with droids are deemed to be dangerous and forbidden. But after a press release, another political scandal emerges when he saves Jensen, another man who's on the run from an unknown assailant. Now living under the same roof and paparazzi on every corner, could this romance be even more disastrous than his first? So it kind of sounds like thrillery drama, like with that description.
Yeah.
But it is at its core a romance, and I love the main characters. They have such a good relationship. They are so cute, and they go through a lot. There's 96 episodes currently out. I'm caught up on them. I just love everything about it. But it's one of the ones on Webtoon that has the music that goes with it too, which just really like hypes up the episodes, and it's just so good. I think I made it through the 96 episodes in 2 days.
Yeah.
So highly recommend to read that one on Webtoon.
I'll have to. I actually haven't read that one yet. So I'll have to dabble.
And my favorite on Manta gets into a subgenre that I love so much of workplace romance, which is one of my all-time favorite genres. I think I've probably read every workplace romance on Manta.
Probably.
And my favorite one is No Moral, which is about 2 lawyers. So the description for that one is Yunshin is a young and compassionate lawyer who gets recruited by a corporate law firm. His boss, Se-hyun Kang, is a domineering partner who prioritizes paychecks and only looks out for himself. Will Yunshin be able to prove his worth in court and find a way to melt his boss's ice-cold heart?
Will he?
Spoiler, he does. And I love it so much. It's such a good story. This is one that I have read the novel for on Tappytoon. And so I just love the story so much. And it's one of those, like, the novel is so far ahead that I know everything that's going to happen generally in the comic. It could go differently. We've seen that happen with Finding Camellia. But it's still just so good. Again, the art's beautiful. The characters, I just love them so much. And yeah, that's probably my top favorite romance of all.
It's a good choice.
It's so good. I love the workplace. I don't know why I love a workplace romance, but it's definitely my top.
So question for you, when it comes to No Moral specifically, how do you think that the webcomic stands up to the novel?
So far, it has been pretty spot on. It's stayed really, really close to the story. But in the webcomic, they're just starting to cross the bridge of being in a relationship.
Yeah.
And so it could go differently now.
Yeah.
But I really hope that it doesn't, because it is so far ahead in the novel where we get our favorite spoiler. This is a big spoiler, so if you don't want any No Moral spoilers, skip ahead. But in the novel, there's a scene where they are grocery shopping together, and it is my absolute favorite scene. I hope that we get to that point in the webcomic. I'm not sure if we will, because it's after the epilogue in a side story. But
yeah, and I don't know if they'll actually end up doing the side stories, but I hope so.
I hope so. We can only hope. It's on hiatus right now, which has been a bit of a bummer for me. But I think it's coming back. August 4th, it says it's coming back, which is coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, it's about a week from now.
Yeah. So there we go. That was awful.
I hate that this happens more than just that time.
All the time.
All the time. Why? It's just because we have such similar tastes, and yet not at the same time.
The completely same but totally different taste.
So when it comes to these romances, what else do you want people to dip their toe into?
All right, so my honorable mentions are Semantic Error, I've Become a True Villainess, and Bloody Sweet. All 3 very good romances.
All very different romances.
All there's a variety there. You're not going to get something the same with those, but so good. I love it.
Oh, I love those so much. Good
All
choices.
right. So, Annie, what is in your number 2 spot?
So this was very hard for me because I do find that I read my number 2 spot and number 1 spot together most of the time. But I had to say that when I reach for any genre, the number 2 spot comes in as fantasy. there is such a wide array of fantasy content available on Webtoon, Manta, Tappytoon, Tapas, etc. Like whatever your preferred webcomic platform, they have a fantasy for you. But when it comes to Webtoon and Manta specifically, I had to go with Villain with a Crush and Trophy Husband. They're just like the two that I find myself hyping myself up about. I consistently want to talk about it with my poor unsuspecting husband or you or my sister, anybody. And so I guess to start out, we'll talk quickly about Villain with a Crush on Webtoon. It is fairly new, so it's not super far along, but I do find myself like as soon as that notification comes up that a new episode is there, like I am looking at that episode. So Villain with a Crush is described as: dumped after confessing her love to her first crush of 3 years, Rosa Parks falls for her second when the National's favorite superpowered police officer, Doryang Han, swoops in to save her as she's plummeting from a toppling building. A few years later, a mysterious villain called Black Dog appears, but Doryang notices something is not quite right. Will the world's worst villain ever win the heart of the strongest hero in the country? This one cracks me up so much. It's about just this poor, awkward college girl who has a crush on a superhero who saved her. And essentially, in trying to confess her feelings to him, she puts on a disguise so that nobody can recognize who she is because she's embarrassed of her feelings for him. And she goes to confess, and it becomes this huge misunderstanding of everyone thinking that she's a supervillain trying to challenge him. Mm-hmm. And so it's just so incredibly written. The characters are just wonderful. All the superpowers that everybody has, like each character is designed so meticulously. And ultimately, like the fantasy aspect of this, along with the misunderstanding, is what just propels it all forward. It is so good. It's so cute to read. And honestly, whenever I want to read a fantasy, it is like one of the first ones that I reach to, like on any platform. So highly recommend if you have not read Villain with a Crush. It's an extremely sweet story. But then getting into my Manta pick of Trophy Husband, this is one that I will actually sit and read and like call Alex about immediately because it is one of my personal favorites of any of my stories. But so in describing it, with her wealth, status, and godlike strength, Duke Serena has it all. Everything but her heart, that is. Enter Ricardo, a charming prince who claims to know the whereabouts and then proposes an alliance that would benefit them both. Is this mysterious suitor really the key to regaining her lost heart? So this one has like a lot of the different fantasy elements that I love. One, it's an isekai. I love a person who just something tragic happens, they end up in a new world, and they have to just kind of accept that and assimilate to everything around them. But also, Duke Serena is such an incredible character. She's so strong. She seems to have it all, and I love how they show that, like, she lost a part of herself. And so even with all of this strength behind her, really just what she wants is to find who she is again. She doesn't want all the strength or the power, everything else. She just wants to be her. And she finally finds somebody who also wants to help her get back to who she was. I think it's extremely fun. The fantasy elements are wonderful and great, and it really helps to just propel the world forward. So I love it. If you want to just plunge yourself into a fun fantasy world with an incredible, strong character and like the cutest male lead in the world, I highly recommend Trophy Husband. It is so fun and exciting. But in saying that, it was very hard to choose my top two favorites. I'd have to say my honorable mentions for the fantasy category are also I Can See Your Stats, Mage and Demon Queen, and Devil Number 4. They're all very different. So one is more of like a video game standpoint. The other is definitely more of like Demon Tower and all of these monsters and everything else. And Devil Number 4 is more like angels and demons. Fantasy is just such a great genre because it really does encompass so many different aspects of supernatural and fantasy, etc. So highly recommend. You can find whatever you're interested in this category, and I'm sure there's something for everybody.
There definitely is. I agree. I love fantasy because there's just such a wide range of what a fantasy can be.
Yeah.
And I would love to know, of all the subgenres of fantasy, what is your favorite subgenre?
Oh my gosh. That's such a good question. I would have to say, it has to be an isekai. Just any person who's transported to a new world. I love it because it just means like you can find something new for yourself and still like make it okay. Like you can live in a completely different world as a completely different person, and it's ultimately like you who gets to decide who you are, what you do with that life, etc. I love it. I think it's great. And it just kind of inspires hope, at least most of them that I've read. Maybe there are some that don't. So don't quote me on it. But I do just love an isekai. I think it's great for people to have memory of their old life and experience this new life and how it comes together. I think it's great and super fun.
You have recommended so many to me. So yes, I would have been surprised.
Definitely not a shock, I'm sure. So in your number 2 spot, what are you reaching for? What genre comes next for you?
So my number 2 spot is also fantasy.
Good choice.
I love fantasy. I don't have to repeat everything you just said about why we love the fantasy genre. I will say that my favorite subgenre of fantasy is like a video game fantasy. I love a video game fantasy. So with that, my favorite on Webtoon is I Was the Final Boss, which is so good. I love the main character. Baphomet is just amazing. And so here's a description of I Was the Final Boss. Baphomet is the ruthless, dispassionate lord of the Absol Tower, a mysterious, monster-filled dungeon plaguing the human world. Many hunters seek to defeat him and bring the tower down to no avail. Despite his demonic power, Baphomet grows curious about humanity. One day, Baphomet is defeated by Raven, the strongest hunter, and realizes that his true wish is to be just like the humans he previously looked down on. In death, he is granted his wish and awakens as a human without his powers. And I love it so much. It's basically Baphomet is a demon god, and he is, I don't need to restate it. He's defeated by a hunter. When he comes back, he has no powers. He's not got the demon powers that he had before, so he has to learn how to be a human. And it's just really, really great to see him. I think he's such a chaotic character.
Absolutely.
He just does things because he wants to. He does not care about anything. He's just kind of here to have a good time.
Yeah.
And I love him so much. He's one that I repeatedly, week over week, just talk to my husband about because I think that he would really love this one too. This is, he's not, he probably wouldn't want to read every romance story that I read, but he likes action and adventure. So I keep suggesting him to read it. And so whenever I say, oh, look at what Baphomet did this week, he's like, wow, you really talk about Baphomet a lot.
It really is a good one to bring in for people who don't have that interest in romance. Again, like I said, it does, like, fantasy pairs with so many other genres. And so it really is something where everybody can find something they enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Keep pushing that one. Hopefully your husband ends up reading it soon.
Yeah, I think he will. And me and you and your husband have all been feeding him things that he should read. So eventually he'll have to join the club.
Yeah, absolutely. He won't want to sit out in the corner. He'll want to join in. It's fine.
Now, my favorite from Manta for fantasy is The Fallen Duke and the Knight Who Hated Him.
So good.
So good. I love the main characters. So this one is sleeping with the enemy, literally. After Duke Lewison is given a second chance at life, he sets out to save the people he had so terribly failed by surrendering himself to the enemy. Yet little does he know that crossing paths with the enemy knight, the noble-hating Carlton, would become so intimate. Things are about to get messy. It is so good. It's the two main characters, they just have such good chemistry together. I love both of them individually. I love both of them together. And funnily enough, I don't love a miscommunication always. This has probably my favorite miscommunication because Carlton thinks that Lewison, again, spoilers, Carlton thinks that Lewison has been basically abused by his advisors all his life because he knows so much about when he was reincarnated or when he was brought back. He had all of this life of being a vagabond and living on the streets. And so Carlton is like, why does he know all of this stuff that he should not know as a duke and a noble? And the advisors see how Carlton is treating Lewison and think, oh my gosh, this man is trying to seduce our innocent Duke Lewison. And it is the funniest miscommunication.
So good.
It's so good. It really drives the plot forward. Right now, they're on the run. It's the best. And I have to give another special shout out to the fact that Carlton, the knight, looks like my husband.
Yes.
So
that's always nice.
It's a nice touch.
It's a nice touch that I would say the majority of the men in the webcomics that we read look like our husbands.
Yes, they do.
Like, my husband's a little bit paler, and so, like, all of the webcomics, dark hair, light eyes, like, tan-ish skin, it's my husband.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that they love that, too.
Yeah, definitely.
At least we're not making attachments to people that don't look like our husband.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
So, my honorable mentions, because, of course, it was hard to choose, my top two are Traces of the Sun, Adeline's Darkest Night, and Winter Wolf, all on Manta. Again, very different types of fantasy. Traces of the Sun is dungeons and kind of that video game-esque fantasy. Adeline's Darkest Night is angels and demons. And Winter Wolf is really, so far, a mystery fantasy.
Yeah, almost like a thriller.
Yeah, a thriller fantasy. And they're all so good. So if you are looking to get into fantasy, I highly recommend getting into one of those that I just mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can concur. I've read all of these and they're wonderful. So definitely highly recommend. I back those. So moving into the number one spot, this will not be a surprise for you, but whenever I want to reach for anything, it is absolutely going to be a romance. I love romance. It's almost like I love my husband and I love love. And so all I want is all of the more love in my life. But very specifically, this is the hardest category to try to narrow it down for me because there's so many romances. There's so many different kinds of romances. Mm-hmm. And also, like, since this is what I reach for all of the time, it's almost every single webcomic that I read has at least a little bit of romance somewhere dabbled in. So, in an effort to narrow it down, my first choice was All Colors of Snow from Webtoon. The art is absolutely stunning. I literally pay on Patreon just to see, like, the additional artwork that the artist puts out. It is phenomenal. It's like a watercolor, like literal work of art every time you read it. It is so pretty and it just makes my heart soar, which is really what I want in a webtoon because beautiful art can be appreciated whether the story is good or not, but this one is just literally perfect in every category. So in summary, this is about balls, operas, beautiful ladies in silk and muslin, footmen, cadets, love, champagne, Parisian sunsets, alleys, funny pranks and walks, Schubert's waltzes, Indian tea aroma, poems in thick volumes, and sparkle of unfamiliar eyes. How do you find yourself among all these new things? How not to lose yourself when you're only 17 years old. So, I think that the description is so poetic and really speaks true to the story itself. To give some background, because I feel like it is a little needed, the story is about a girl named Eugenie who is 17 going on 18, like becoming a woman.
I don't think I remembered that she was 17. That surprised me when you read the description.
Yeah, she is in like, I mean, back in the time, that's kind of their coming of age, really.
Yeah.
And so this is like a Victorian piece. It's based in France. And it's about this girl who has basically just come of age, is trying to find herself in this world that's supposed to be all about romance. And she's basically convinced herself that she doesn't want romance. She wants to be this engineer. She wants to feel important and smart. And she doesn't want everything that's tied into like women are only there to be a wife, etc. And she ends up finding somebody who concurs, who supports her dreams and passions. But they're not who they claim to be. And so it's like trying to find that balance of love with, you know, building trust from the ground up with this person and having to rebuild it again and seeing how love changes and how some people can fall into love super fast. And for some, it's like this super long drawn out process. It's so beautiful the way they tie in love for not only just the people, but the things around you, your environment. Like, it is just so beautiful. Every second of it just makes me swoon. And again, I mean, I literally pay on the Patreon just to read the early episodes because I know that I know myself. I can't wait. I need to be ahead of everybody else and get the most up-to-date content that there possibly is. So, highly recommend if you like something like Pride and Prejudice, and you like seeing all of these different people who approach love and just their surroundings in different ways. All Colors of Snow is beautiful in literally every aspect. Highly recommend. Cannot praise it more. It just has me excited to read every week. And if you would like to go support the artists like me, you can absolutely join their Patreon. Totally worth it. But in moving forward, when it comes to Manta, this was also an extremely difficult decision for me. I had like my personal favorite when it comes to Finding Camellia and reading the novel. But when we talk about webcomics, I feel like my top favorite actually is Betrayal of Dignity. It is not your stereotypical love story. It is very much just about a couple that does not mesh well in the beginning. And it, to me, is almost a miscommunication, but there's so much growth for these characters. I am so gripped by this story. Every week I'm calling Alex just to tell her how excited I am about the episode and bullying her if she hasn't read it to make her read it as soon as it's released. So the description for Betrayal of Dignity is, would you sacrifice your honor to marry a duke? The answer is yes. In order to save her family from ruin, Chloe Verdier must find a groom for her sister Alice. She soon runs into the handsome but arrogant Duke Thies, who makes a proposal that could save them. When Alice flees with a mysterious man, Chloe must seek out the Duke in the biggest gamble of her life. So, this entire webcomic, one, if you're a part of the Reddit, the Manta Reddit, you will see a lot of different people talking about his lips. Duke Thies is possibly my favorite toxic male lead in like any story ever. Mostly because he's toxic, but in like the ways that I'm okay with. Like, he's a little manipulative and arrogant, but like he definitely doesn't have like trigger warnings about him. So we're good there. But also the characters and the art are just so stunning. Week over week, there are so many twists and turns in this story. And it again is about a love that doesn't grow in like this very like fluffy way. It's not just all like sunshine and roses and everything else. It's about a woman who has a disability and, you know, who sees herself as different, and then has this man who, though he comes off as really crass and awful, ends up basically seeing her as an equal. Like, they spar with each other intellectually. They like push each other and like push each other's buttons. And it's just so interesting to see the growth in these characters and how love grows in a very different way than is expected. I think overall, it's just a great one to read. It is So gripping, whether you're reading it for the romance aspect, you just like period pieces in general, but so good. Highly recommend. Please stop talking about crusty lips in the Reddit because it breaks my heart because I love it so much. All of the art is perfect. But though it was a hard choice, that is my Manta recommendation. If you're not interested in those two, or if you just want to read more romance like I do, which is all of the time, then my honorable mentions are Let's Play on Webtoon. This is a series that is kind of on a hiatus. The artist is going to be switching platforms soon, but highly recommend reading the first 3 seasons on Webtoon if you haven't already. I'm just terrified that it's going to go away and we'll only ever have access to the new content moving forward. So highly recommend get started on that story now so we can all chat about it together. And also I recommend Finding Camellia on Manta as well as Tainted Half on Manta as well. They're all perfect and wonderful, all very different stories, but highly recommend giving romance a try. It is just a great way to just give yourself a boost of serotonin and just to feel happy for everybody around you. Or to not if you're reading about Duke Thies, but it's kind of in a good way. So that is my top pick for my number 1 romance genre. And Alex, what is your number 1 genre?
So my number 1 genre is drama. And like you, I had a very hard time picking my top for drama because I love drama. It is such a good category. It's what keeps me reading and needing to get to the next episode. It's the one that I have to sit down and tell myself, okay, you can only read until 5 more episodes, and then you have to get up and cook dinner. Because I just get so hooked on these stories and the drama that keeps you going from one episode to the next, which is just what I love so much. So, with saying that, I have a Webtoon and a Manta top dramas. My Webtoon is Nove, which is a new one that I've been reading. Again, the art is gorgeous. It's one of my all-time favorite arts. It's so beautiful. And like you, I joined the Patreon so that I could read the bonus comics, see all of the bonus art, and just get everything I can out of this because I love it so much. So the description is Raziel is an astronomer with a romantic heart. Sylvain is a kind-hearted necromancer with a troubled past. A strong connection forms between them as they discover the cosmos together, and their relationship blooms. But trouble lurks in the streets of Paris when the body of a fellow astronomer is found on the steps of the Academy of Sciences. Signs point to dark magic, and Raziel and Sylvain's lives become entangled in ways that they could never foresee. It's so good, and it's got that mystery part where you don't know what's going to happen next, which I love. There is a part in it that I read while I walk on my treadmill, and there was a part that I almost fell off of my treadmill. It was, I'm not even going to say it because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. You have to read this one, and when you get to this point, you will know because it scared me. It actually scared me. It is so good.
Talk about being involved in a story.
Yeah.
When you can be reading and actually like cause real life harm to yourself.
Caution if you are going to read on a treadmill, maybe not a drama.
Yeah, not a drama. It's going to knock your socks off. You can't possibly get involved in a drama on a treadmill.
But it's so good. I adore the main characters. It's one that does have romance to it. It's a romance and a drama. So there's a lot of romance to it. The main characters have such a cute relationship. But the main reason why I read it is the drama part. So
yeah, the drama propels it forward.
Yeah, the drama that keeps it going. So that's my number 1. The other one I have on Manta is called Broken Melody, which is actually not available on Manta anymore. So I'm sorry to recommend it. But it is so good. It is beautiful. It is tragic. But there's so much character growth as well. So here's the description. Minhee, a fallen piano prodigy, has lived her life with a pain and trauma ever since a single mistake ruined her family and any chance of playing the piano ever again. Hyun is a piano teacher who is equally haunted by his own life mistakes. What will happen when they meet as teacher and student? Will it be a chance at redemption, or will it bring about even more destruction? And so basically what it is this young girl who is a piano prodigy she's been exposed to media. Her dad is a famous pianist as well, and really pushed her to play the piano, and she loves playing the piano, but she ends up getting like a panic disorder from having to perform all the time at such a young age. And so she ends up passing out on stage at a concert. It might be a concert or competition, but she passes out in front of a live TV show. And so everyone knows about it, and she's a child. And so she ends up asking her parents if they can move to where no one knows her so that she doesn't have to deal with all of these people.
So sad.
It's so sad. And so then they end up going to this small town. And in this small town, her dad ends up having an affair with the music teacher at her new school and abandoning the family and leaving with the music teacher. The children at the school are relentlessly bullying her for taking their teacher away. They're blaming her for it. Her mom blames her for being the reason that they even had to move to this town and bans her from playing the piano. So she's not allowed to play the piano. She writes her own music. She's not allowed to do that. And she ends up meeting this other boy who is her only friend. And he ends up not being such a great person. And really, like, throughout her whole childhood and teenage years, like, manipulates her and wants to be the only thing in her life. She also, when she's a child, goes and finds a piano outside and starts playing it. And it's at Hyun's house. He's the piano teacher in the town. Like, he teaches all the kids piano lessons. And so she goes and asks him, can I play piano at your house? And at first he's like, no, you can't. But she says, I will. They work out a deal. And so she ends up going and playing piano at his house almost every day and kind of grows up like being around this guy who doesn't really teach her, but just lets her play piano at his house, like gives her a place that she can be happy and do something that she loves that she's not allowed to do anywhere else. And so it's really about how they're helping each other heal through the trauma, because he sees himself in her. He went through a very similar situation where he was also really, really good at piano, another child prodigy, and ended up having trauma in his life. And so he ended up getting divorced and moving out, or, you know, going to this small town where no one knows him again. And there's just a ton. I mean, I could go on and on about this one. It is so good, but it has...
So sad.
It's so sad, but it has a really good ending.
I know.
It brings it back up at the end where Minhee is healed. She goes on tour as a famous pianist. She has a place to come home and call... She has a place to come and call home. And it's with Hyun, who has, like, been there for her whole life and she basically been a rock that she needed that she didn't have.
Yeah.
And so it's just such a different story from what I usually read, and I love it so much. It's just beautiful. It's so good. If you can find it on any other platform, let me know, because I would read it again in a heartbeat. It's so good. So outside of those. Again, drama is my absolute favorite. So narrowing it down to 3 honorable mentions was very hard. But my 3 honorable mentions are also all going to be from Manta. And they are Stranger, The Dangerous Convenience Store, and Reunion. All very good.
All very good.
So, yeah.
All very different.
Very
also.
different, yeah. They're so good.
Yeah. Drama is one of those categories that, like, when I read drama, for the most part, I enjoy it. It just, like, again, like, my top 3 spot is comedy. Like, when I reach for a webcomic, I reach for such a different experience. I feel like for you, it's a lot more like you want to feel, like, all of these different emotions. Mm-hmm. And I'm very much like, I want to laugh and I want to love. And, like, that's it.
I love stories that break my heart. Yeah. I love those kinds of stories. Even outside of Webtoon, webcomics, that's the kind of stuff that I reach for. That's the kind of stuff my husband likes too. We just love consuming things about tragedy. And I don't know, it's just like, it's so good. I think the stories are just so compelling. Yeah. And if they're told well, beautiful stories are not always happy. No. And I love a beautiful tragedy.
Yeah. It's so true. Well, I am so grateful for you sharing all of the recommendations today. Some of them I definitely have not read, so I'll have to give some of yours a try.
I haven't read either.
Yeah. So we'll have to switch off. We'll have to trade our list from today, and we'll have to read each other's so that we can make a review. But we're also super happy to have had you joining us here today. Thank you for listening through all of our genre recommendations, as well as webcomic recommendations within those genres. And we hope that we can share a lot more of our recommendations with you moving forward.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.